All right, well, auto union workers make concessions. Financial workers get bonuses. Mark Brenner, director at Labor Notes, says that's not fair. That's not right. You know, Mark, you're right. You're right. You and I have argued about a lot of things, but it's certainly inconsistent. But it is what it is. What do you think?
Well, it doesn't have to be. I mean, clearly, we've got Congress willing to tax bonuses at 90% to basically get them back. But the question is, the horse is already out of the barn here. I mean, they paid themselves $18 billion at the end of January, we found out from the New York State Comptroller. These are the people who drove us off a cliff last September. And then they're paying themselves that much? I mean, they've paid themselves $200 billion just since 2000? What about that money?
Well,
That's
should we then
money.
be consistent, drive them all off a cliff? I mean, if the auto honchos dragged, you guys down, fire them, don't even compensate them anymore. If the AIG guys, a lot of them drag themselves down, fire the culprits and don't even debate how much they should get paid.
Well, but we also got to try to get the taxpayers' money back. Come on, Neil. I mean,
yeah, but you just said to get the taxpayers' money back with people who are competent to get it back and not crooks, right?
Well, absolutely. But, I mean, look, you could say what you want about the federal government. When the FDIC takes over a failing bank, they know where the money is. I mean, in January, they were telling us that they didn't even know where the $350 billion got spent. And then we gave them another $350.
Here's what's going to scare you, that you and I are in sync.
We're on
so
sync
it is the apocalypse. Right. But here's what worries me, Mark, that Congress, either in revisiting large auto contracts with maybe built-in and very generous, and the auto companies and onerous pensions, that's always been deemed different than private financial contracts that were awarded far fewer workers, but that are instrumental in the way the financial industry works, especially the healthy part of it. So that if you dabble in the financial stuff, it has far more reaching implications than in the auto stuff. A lousy excuse?
Well, but that's the way it was. That's not the way it is anymore. I mean, all of those equations are off the table now that the national government, I mean, the federal government owns the banking industry more or less. I mean, we definitely own AIG. So
also kind of owns a couple of the big auto guys.
Well, I mean, I think we're going to end up down that road unless we want to see tens of thousands of people out of work.
So what's the solution here? You're right. The barn door, they're out. They're trying to redo the door and repaint it, nail it, whatever. But
I think they're just trying to hide, is what they're trying to do.
Right. But the president was right on this, on Jay Leno. I heard him on this because he copied us on this, by the way. But that's okay. But no, seriously, I think what he was trying to say is the rage is justifiable.
Absolutely.
But the way you're acting it out is not. But how do we prevent this sort of stuff? If we have to revisit compensation contracts, aren't they just as tough doing it in the auto industry as they are in the finance industry, and that maybe the government's going to be in the redoing contract industry?
Look, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, there's a world of difference when you're talking about people like, Ken Lewis, who's made $221 million since 2001 when he started at Bank of America, versus, rank-and-file auto workers that had no hand in what their companies did. I just feel like it's a completely different picture. So for me, I think that a little asymmetry would go a long way towards,
What's that asymmetry?
Well, I think that we need to start at the top and work our way down if we're talking about who gets a haircut. Unfortunately, they want equality of sacrifice. So
but not all these people who got the bonuses at AIG were the top dogs. Some were secretaries, some were researchers, some earned probably less than a lot of those auto guys.
Sure, but these are the nickel and diamond bonuses. We're only talking about $170 million here. What about the big bonuses that we saw at the bailed out banks? I mean, that's what I'm talking about. This is really...
So you don't believe that these are done?
The bonuses that people got in 2009.
For the taxpayer bailed out companies, that they're going to be shamed into even revisiting this again.
If they're not, there's going to be continued public outcry, and rightly so.
All right, so the auto guys are redoing their things, or not. Critics say not fast enough. The financial guys have been shamed into redoing their things, those who are on the public dime. So maybe the markets, in a weird way, are responding to government pressure totally independently.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, they're not responding fast enough or swiftly enough. It seems to me that people who are actually, making these calls are really out of touch, Neil. I mean, the fact that they could even consider doing this demonstrates to me that they've been, raking in dough so long that they don't even understand how people
some of the
them.
bonuses at AIG were for car allowances. I wonder if they're for any GM vehicles. Wouldn't that be a pit? Mark, great stuff. Always good seeing you.
Absolutely. Great to be here, Neil. Thank you so much.